So Lucas, how did we get here?
So we're talking about how concept came to be. Where do you want me to start?
From the beginning.
Honestly, like the idea of concept started when I was like 19. I remember being in school and just like, I don't know, I've always like wanted to run a business for whatever reason. Like I was a leader of all my sports teams, and like my mom's a big time boss for Sodexo at UVM, and she was always bossing me around, so I definitely picked up some of that stuff from her. And like, I don't know, I just never really liked being told what to do, and I knew that the only way to not have to be told what to do is to like start your own thing. And I've always been a really hard worker. So, like 19, it was like summer break going into my junior year of college. I was 20 actually, and we had this little like like laundry room, dude. It was like maybe a little bit bigger than this room, and we put like a stationary bike in there. We had like the washer dryer like over here, and then we had like this bench with like one of those like mini bars, you know what I'm talking about, like super thin,
Yep.
and like a pull-up rack and like an ab mat, and then like a little dumbbell set. So we were like fucking just working out in there, and that summer I had a bunch of surgeries, so I gained a lot of weight. I was like 230, but like not a good 230. Like I'm 215 right now, and
A good 215.
yeah, a good 215. And so I lost like 30 pounds that summer. I just like worked out every single day. I was like, dude,
Just doing some pull-ups.
yeah, just fucking. I was basic shit like pull-ups, push-ups, band walks with like these little TheraBands, just like back and forth, like
Yep.
2 steps back and forth. And I was bench pressing, doing bent over rows, like just a bunch of functional stuff, just in a room like this size. And then, so I lost a bunch of weight. I got like real into my nutrition, and at the same time I was going to school for athletic medicine. So, and I'd been through the ringer with like surgeries and knee injuries and all that stuff. So I just kind of knew what was up in that regard. And now, knowing all the anatomy and the physiology, and then I took a CS class my senior year, so like I knew all about the strength and conditioning side of things, and I was like, I need to like combine this. So I actually got into like the post-bac pre-med program because I really wanted to go to med school to be an orthopedic surgeon. And so
You still
like,
want to do that, or are you still?
no, I'm done. I'm all set. The reason I actually chose not to was because I was like, I don't want to be in school until I'm like 35.
Yeah.
Just like, so I was
smart.
I was so broke, dude. I was so broke in school, and I used to get so frustrated because like it seemed like everybody else had money at UVM, or like their parents would like buy them shit and stuff. And by no means I'm saying like my parents didn't help me out, but like we weren't. It sucked. So yeah, I was senior year. I applied to, and I was just gonna work there for like the summer before I started school in the fall, and got there, and I realized like I was pretty good at like selling training. Like I could convince people to come in and like work out. And at the time, like when I first started there, I was like, how am I gonna fucking build my client load? Like this is crazy. It's like 400. I didn't even like, I couldn't even fathom that like people like had that much money, like even even in their bank account. So I was like, who the fuck
is gonna pay for this shit?
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, this is crazy. So, but I ended up like being able to sell it pretty quickly and like kind of built a bunch of confidence up. And so I was doing well. I like filled my schedule there, and I like loved it. Like the owner, James, super awesome guy. I was like, he was actually like one of my biggest role models. I fucking loved him. So I was like working there, and I was just like trying to like do whatever I could to impress him. And halfway through, like I was working with a lot of people that had previous injuries in the past. So I would use my like athletic medicine background, and like people were like really liking that. Like it was real good. So I kind of developed that niche of like the medically oriented strength and conditioning guy. So like other people that would have clients that had been hurt or whatever would like they would send them over to me. And so I got my schedule up to like 50 training hours a week. And I was just like cranking. And I really wanted to start a sports medicine department there. So I worked my ass off to like try to get that done, just like pro bono. Got literally everything set up, and then like last minute, just James like kind of ripped the rug out from under me. It was like, you're not gonna like be in charge of this like department. You're too young. Like, you're not a good leader. Like, you got a long way to go before like I'm gonna put you in charge or something. And he was probably right, to be honest.
Yeah,
like,
that probably pissed you off.
Yeah, like I was like 23 and like not even close to where I am right now, and that pissed me off. So I was like, what the fuck? What am I gonna do? Like, this is the only reason I'm here. And this happened right after I had declined, because I deferred my acceptance to the pre-med program like that fall. So I didn't end up going because I was really liking what I was doing. I was like actually making money for the first time. So like I came all the way through that year, and I had to make a decision in like May, and James did that to me like right after I declined the acceptance. So I was kind of stuck. I was like, fuck, well, if I had known this 2 weeks earlier, like I would have gone back to school. So I was just super confused. And I had just bought a house and was like, what the fuck am I going to do? And then 4 weeks later, like my car just like shit the bed. So
What kind of car was it?
I had a 2004 Toyota Highlander. It was pretty sick, but like it was the newest car I'd had. Like I had shitty cars when I was growing up. I was in 1987 Volvo.
Volvos are nice in the winter though, all-wheel drive.
Nah, it was rear-wheel drive, like 4-cylinder. I couldn't get home in the wintertime in high school because I lived in Underhill. And it was
so how did you get home?
I had to put the car, like I had to stop at a driveway because I live at the top of like this big ass hill, and I had to turn it around and go in reverse up the hill. Like, so that I could get home because I couldn't fucking get up this hill, or else I would have just had to park my car on the road, and then I would have just gotten like crushed by a snow machine. That was crazy. And then my next car was a 1992 Buick Regal. That was front wheel drive. That was nice. A little better, but like it was so rusted out on the bottom, like the rocker panels just like fell through. So like I didn't even have like a floor. So that's, my parents helped me out with the Highlander, which was super dope. And then after I was finished up like with that one, I bought the Dodge. So we're in like May right now. I remember back like in March, like when I was still doing this stuff, I was making good money, and I was like, I really want to I want to get a dog, and I want to like live outside of Burlington. Like I don't want to live in Burlington anymore. So I'm talking to my aunt about all this, who I love to death. She's been training with me for like 3 years. And I'm like, I can't find a fucking apartment that's going to let me get a dog. And I was like, I wish I could just buy a house. And she goes, I'll buy you a house. And I was like, what the fuck? So I thought she was like fucking with me, honestly. I was like, I can't, like, no way. And she was like, no, I'm gonna do it. So she literally starts looking for houses, and like it's an investment property for them. So they're like, we're gonna do this. We're gonna basically give you a loan, and then you're gonna take out the loan on the house. So we're going to, like, front your down payment for you. So when I go to sell the house, I got to pay them back, like, 5% or whatever it is. But what that did for me was, like, we'll get to that in the future. But so I was able to get a house and, like, move into a house, like, at 23 years old, and fucking I couldn't get a dog.
In Chittenden County.
Yeah. Yeah, in Chittenden County. And so we got the house. That was crazy. I moved in with a bunch of roommates because it's a 3-bedroom house. So 3 bedrooms full. Everybody's paying rent, like basically enough so that I didn't even really like have to pay rent. And then like 2 weeks later, like my car shits out, and I want to quit. But I'm like stuck, dude. Like I can't go back to work.
Financially,
Like
you're strapped.
I now like my car's shit out. I don't really have a lot of money. I think I had like $3,500 or $4,000, maybe five. So I'm like, all right, I got this. So I fixed like the timing belt on the car, and then like something else like broke. I don't know if like the battery like died or something. I was like, I refuse. I will not put more money into this 2004 car. Like I'm getting a brand new car.
It's that certain point when a car gets
I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'd just driven such shitty cars all my life. I just wanted something that I could rely on.
You probably found out you had good credit when you got the house, so you were like, I can get a truck.
Yeah, I was like, I'm going to do this. So, and one of my clients at the time, her dad owns the Goss Dodge dealership. So she like brought me over there and they like hooked me up with a good deal on a new truck. I bought the truck the day that I quit. And everybody was like, what the fuck are you doing? You fucking nut job. Like, so the reason that I actually got the strength to quit, I was like a month earlier. So it was like, I think right before I bought my house. But James came up to me and he was like, I need you to train this client. It's like big time client, like doesn't want to hurt his back. And I need you to work with him. So I'm like, okay, I can do that. And so I had to clear out like a bunch of stuff in my schedule, and walks in Nate, who like at the time I didn't know who he was, and comes in, does this. He's like, I'm going to train with you 4 days a week at 6:00 in the morning. So I was like, okay, whatever. And I know that I'm like doing this favor for James because he's like a big shot client. He like bought all of his employees like sessions to train there, and like he's the boss, and like we want to retain him. But like I already knew that I was like out at that point. Yeah. So I was talking to clients and whatever, and I was like, yeah, like I think I'm kind of ready for the next step in my life. Like I don't really know what's going on. And then I made the decision to quit, and I gave them like 4 weeks. And like during that time, I'm going to transition off all my clients and all this stuff. And they were like, what are you going to do? I was like, honestly, dude, I don't even know. I was trying to go work at Long Trail Physical Therapy because I love those guys. And I was like, I just like, maybe they got a job where I can just like kick around for a little bit. Like, I don't know, I'll just mow lawns or something. Yeah. So we like go in, I go into that, and then I'm telling my clients that I'm going to be done. And they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I'm like,
everybody's freaking out.
Yeah. I was like, I'm out. Like, I don't know. They're like, where are you going? And I was like, I don't know. They were like, what do you mean you don't know? I was like, no, seriously, like, I don't know. Like, what the fuck I'm going to do? I don't really have a plan. And I was close with like a lot of clients at the time. And so I tell Nate, and he goes, like, I'll pay you $1,000 a month to come train me at my house. And I was like, what? No way. Like, so that automatically I was like, I could probably do this on my own.
Yeah,
like,
just get more clients like that.
Yeah, I was like, because I didn't need a lot of money at the time because I wasn't, like, I had so many roommates.
Yeah.
And, like, I was conscious of my food. I was paying my student loans, whatever, and then I had a truck payment. But like, all I needed was like $1,500 a month to get by. Mm-hmm. Like I was fine. So I was like, if I could get like one more, and my aunt and uncle, I was like, I'll go train them at their house. Like same thing, like 5 days a week, like, and that's 2 G's. Like I'm set, like with three clients. Yeah, literally. So, and that was like almost as much as I was taking home. I was taking home probably like $2,500 a month after taxes. When I was like at my peak,
yeah,
which at the time I was like, "This is crazy." Like, I was there as much as I'm here, like till 5:45 until like 7:30 at night. And so that from Nate, I was like, "This is crazy." And like, I had only been with him for 4 weeks. He was one of the clients that I was like, "Yeah, for sure." He's like gonna want to work with somebody else and just kind of move on, never gonna see him again. And little did I know, like Nate is the reason like Concept exists and like why like I am the way that I am, like 100%. It's crazy. So it's so funny how like the cards fall. But he literally, with that statement, like gave me the strength to like make this like life-changing decision to like go off on my own. And so I could train him at his house and my aunt and uncle at their house, make like $2,200 or $2,000 a month. So then I'm like, I literally have a house, and you've seen the basement, like it's empty. And I spent the rest of my money on like gym shit.
Yeah.
And I set up the basement.
That's smart. There's a little home gym in the basement. You can train people.
Literally. So I had 2 benches. I had 1 adjustable bench, one flat bench. And then I filled the whole floor with all the like rubber tile things. And I eventually bought like a full rack of dumbbells. When I first started, I had nothing. I had bands and
you don't need much equipment.
No, you don't. Like this.
Oh, that's such a nice like area.
That's what I had. So like there was a punching bag and like these
Did you know
posts
how to use the punching
here.
bag? Or do you like train people
No,
on that?
I had
just,
no idea. It was just for show. So I had a TRX that I bought, and like the rest of the equipment hadn't come in yet. So this is like what I had to start with. I was doing that, and then I was like driving all over the place to like get to people's houses because I had like 3 in-house clients. I started training somebody on Spear Street, and then I was training Nate in Shelburne, and then my aunt in Williston. So I would do those 3 first, and then I had other people that would come like in the middle of the day and then like at night. So I was still like spread out throughout the day, but I was at home, so like didn't really matter. Then that was like my gym that I was just kind of like working out in and doing whatever. And all of a sudden, like, I get this letter in the mail. Cease and desist letter, like, I'm gonna sue you, like, if you keep working like with these clients. So I call Nate, and then I call my other client, like, and Nate's like, fuck them, they can't do anything. Like, I remember he was like, I'll pay the damage, like, you're not stopping. Because I was scared, dude. I was like, I don't know what the fuck to do. So he was like, you're not going to stop training me. Like, I'll get you in touch with some people.
Nice.
It'll be fine. And eventually everything kind of just blew over. But that was scary. And then 4 months later, I got a call by, like, and I was talking to her, and she was like, we really need somebody to come in and, like, do our like, get our personal training department up to speed. And I was like, at the time, it started to like feel like it was getting like it was kind of stressful having to like have people train at my house. Like there were like multiple cars like pulling up to my house all day, and like I didn't have my house registered as like a legit like place of business. And like I was like, the neighbors, I'm like super young, like the neighbors probably think I'm like dealing drugs. I was like, I don't want to get in trouble for this. So I was like, I continued to keep training people at their houses and stuff. But through this time, like Nate was kind of like advising me, and like we would talk during sessions and whatever. And he was like, this is what you should be doing and what you shouldn't do. And I remember when I was like, I'm going to take this like gig. They're saying they'll give me like 1/3 of like the profits from the training department, so I could build that up, and like that's kind of incentivized. I don't have to pay for space if I bring my equipment there and like whatever, and then my clients can still pay me directly. So now I have like a legitimate home base that I can train people out of, and I can actually grow my income. And I was stoked on it, dude. I was like, this is gonna be sweet. Like I'm gonna just, because I always wanted the opportunity to like build something. And then when I was on my own, it was just like a big undertaking and scary, and like I didn't know what the fuck I was gonna do. So then I get this job, and I'm working there and like hiring people, and we're doing well. Like I did grow it. Like I got 4 coaches on the staff, and I was training, and then we got into like a bigger space, like the HPC that you saw, and I was like proud of that. I thought it was pretty good. I wanted to do so much. Like, I mean, you've seen like this place and like everything. This is my real vision. And so I was just like, it seemed like I just had like a low ceiling. Like I wasn't able to do the stuff that I really wanted to do. And I was just like, by the end of it, I was obviously unhappy. Like, I couldn't provide opportunity for people because I couldn't actually make the decisions to provide opportunity for them, which is why, like, you ended up not coming on. And, like, Kevin Guild, I tried to hire, and, like, he's super talented. So I wasn't getting the best level of talent, so therefore I, like, couldn't really help them. And the frustrating thing for me was that I was getting blamed for, like, everything. I was like, how can you, like, you're supposed to, like, lead me and be in charge of me and, like, help me. So it just kind of sucked. I was like, I'm over this. So I in September of 2017, I was like, because I had gotten back from, like, one of my major surgeries, and, like, a bunch of stuff had changed because I'd been out of work and I didn't like that. So I was like, you know what, like, fuck this. So I call Kevin Guild, who works here now, and I'm like, dude, let's start a gym. Because after the interview process, like, with him, he was, like, between the edge, and I sent him an email, and I was just like, dude, you're super talented. Like, I'm not going to be able to provide you with the opportunity that you need to be successful here, so, like, go work. But we should go get drinks sometime, because I like that. So we just started, like, hanging out and, like, talking about stuff, and then he came over in September, and we were sitting and, like, talking about this gym idea and what it would look like, and I was like, I need help financially, like, from a, like, just training capacity standpoint. Like, it was just comforting to, like, know that I was going to go into somebody that was, like, understood the industry and, like, could bring a clientele with them, and, like, we'd be all right paying rent and stuff. So we're sitting in the living room, and all of a sudden I get a fucking phone call from Dylan, who, like, I haven't heard from. I don't know, I probably haven't talked to him for, like, 3 months. And he's like, hey, what's up, dude? Like, I haven't talked to you in a while. I don't know if I think he texted me, and then, like, I called him, and he had helped me out with some stuff, like videoing and, like, photos and stuff. And he was like, what are you doing right now? I was like, do you want to start a gym? He was like, what? What are you talking about? I was like, I'm going to start a gym. Do you want to start a gym with me? And he was like, I mean, I guess. Like, where are you? I was like, I'm at my house. He was like, I'll be there in 15 minutes. So he comes over, and we're literally sitting there, and I'm all hyped up, and I pull up this video, like, of Gary Vee. It's just, like, getting amped and, like, talking about content creation and, like, where we're going to do it. And I was like, this is what we need you for. Like, this is what you got to do. And then, like, Kev and I'll manage, like, the sales and stuff, and then Kev can manage operations because he's such a level-headed guy, like, understands systems, great coach. And we're like, yeah, fuck yeah. So literally every day after work, we'd all come back to my house, and we were building the business plan, like, from the end of September on. And we're doing this, so, like, we get the website up. Dylan, like, hooks up the logos. We fucking pick a name after, like, 20 hours of arguing about a name. And the name, like, I'm pretty sure I just blurted out, like, or Kevin, somebody blurted out, like, what about the concept or something? And they're like, yeah, you know, like, it's a new concept. Like, we're trying to do something different. Like, what about, let's just, like, concept? You know what I mean? So, and while we're typing in names, we're on GoDaddy.com, just, like, typing in those names to see if the, like, domain is available. So that one was not. But I'm like, okay, what else can we do? Like, Concept 2 rowing machines is a thing. Like, what are we doing? So it was, like, concept personal training, like, concept training, fucking whatever. And we just settled on move. Like, somebody just said move. I was like, what about just concept move? Like, just move around. Like, just do something with your fucking day. It doesn't have to be, like, with a coach. It doesn't have to be, like, anything crazy. It's just, like, get up and be active for 30 minutes a day, because it helps with everything. Like, it's the mentality component of it, the happiness, like, just being mobile, like, functional, being able to go outside. Like, I think there's just a big mental component, like the chemical release that comes from, like, actually exercising is pretty substantial. And I think that it really does impact every other aspect of your life. Like, this is the foundation of success, in my opinion. You know what I mean? So, like, if you exercise every day and, like, focus on your mental game, like, whatever it is you're working on is just going to improve. Like, it doesn't even matter. So we settled on that. The domain was available. And then because there were three of us, that's where the 3 came in. Like, let's make it trendy, like the backward T for fucking like 3. And nobody understood it, dude. So then we changed it to, like, the 3 pillars, like training, nutrition, and rehab. And it still didn't fucking make sense to anybody, so we rebranded and just changed it to Move, and that domain was available. So we actually had bought both domains at the time because we're like, people are going to type it in, not understanding or like looking for the 3. So we bought the other 2 domains. And I'm working with this woman, Esther Lotz, who's like the best commercial broker around here. She's awesome. And she hooked us up with this space, and we were like, all right, it's probably going to cost us much. And like ICV let us come in. And like right before, I would say like 3 weeks before we were like supposed to move in here, Kev gets a phone call from the Oakland A's. And they offer him a job to be like the head strength coach for the Lake Monsters.
Nice.
So
that's a great job opportunity.
Yeah, and there's like really good salary, like benefits, like everything. He's working hard, I think, like 7 or 8 months out of the year. And then he's like off, but he gets like a full year salary. And like that's why he's here right now, because in the off season. But I remember like Kevin was going to contribute like a fair amount of money to like kind of get shit going. And he was like, I can't pass, like I have to do this. I can't pass it up. And I was like, what the fuck? Like that sucked. Like that scared me. I definitely was like, I might have to turn back on this now. And Dylan was kind of feeling the same way. And I slept on it. And I know that Kevin felt bad, but at the same time, I was like, you have to go do this. Like, don't feel bad about this for us. And I like talked to Dylan. I was like, we can still do this. I was like, we could do it. And we went and we changed like the like articles of incorporation around and like figured stuff out at the bank. And I pulled money out of my retirement account and all this stuff to kind of try to make up for it, because we needed like $15,000 like day one to kind of start things off.
Yep.
And that didn't include like paying ourselves or whatever. So like the last 3 months I was like being really frugal with my money. And then Dylan was contributing like all the assets and stuff as far as like all the computer stuff and camera gear and whatever, and I was bringing all the equipment.
Yeah.
And so yeah, December 15th we fucking move in here, and it's like, oh shit, like this is really real. And I remember when we first got in, I went to Nate.
It's December 15, like 2017.
2017, yeah. We just had our like official like 1 year move in. I'm gonna do the first as our like grand or like our 1 year anniversary. But
wait, what's the date today?
It's the 16th. So yesterday was a year. It's crazy. So
congratulations.
Thank you. So we've officially been in business for a year without failing. So yeah, we get in here, and this place was bare bones, dude. Like, so empty. And we just kind of got to work. Like, we were fucking crushing it. And I asked Nate, I was like, would you be willing to, like, train with me for free? Because he was paying, like, $1,000 a month at that point. And then in return, you coach me on how to be a fucking business owner. You know? After we had already like done everything, I was like, I didn't know if he was gonna say yes or no. And I was really nervous to do that too, because that was a big financial commitment to like get rid of, you know, like
$1,000 a month.
Yeah, exactly.
Every $1,000 matters.
Yeah, every dollar matters. And but it was the best thing that I ever did. And I always looked up to him, and he would always like advise me and stuff, but never like we'd never like sit down.
Yeah,
and like do
more
it
formal.
Right.
You'd be like, all right, I have like a notepad out.
Yeah, no, exactly. It was like crucial accountability stuff, and he just fucking put me to work, dude. Like day one. Mm-hmm. And I remember he was like, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to stop coaching you. So I don't think there's been a single time this entire year where I haven't done what he said.
Yeah.
And he was like, this is where we're going to start, and this is how it's going to go. So I made a like manual of operations and like expectations and stuff first. And then I made all of my goals for 2018 for the company. He was like, okay, so in order to do that, just like literally step by step, like helped me like put it together and like would tell me what to do. And then I would go out and do it like in my own way, you know, so that it was still me doing it. But if I didn't, I would have never have thought to do those things if it weren't for him. So, and every week we would meet on Mondays at 3:00, and then I'd train him at 4:00 after. And I just did what he said to do. So like we started, it was like prospecting, and then like getting the 44 touch system going, which is like the outreach stuff. And then like the 10 days of pain. So like, what does the sales process look like? And what are your expectations for staff? And then it turned into, all right, you need to hire 4 people this month. So by the end of this week, like you need to have done, like every week I want you to do 5 interviews. And I want you to call every single person that you've ever met that's in this industry, or just in general. And then we scripted out the whole thing. So it was like, hey, so-and-so, this is Lucas from Concept Move. Like, I know we haven't spoken in a while, but I just opened a gym. I wanted to know if you knew anybody in the area, like, or that's still around from school that would potentially be willing to, like, come work here. And I probably called, like, 100 people. So, like, if you got a phone call from me, thank you for talking to me. And I just, like, I would just work it. So then, like, it was Tate came on board first, and then Fitz came on. And then we had, like, Meg, Allen, and, like, Nate Freeberg was kind of in the mix, and, like, Kev was around. And then, and then I was, like, still doing the recruiting and prospecting stuff. And I get a phone call. This is in, like, late February, maybe, from this kid named Aaron. He used to work at SpecTech. And he's like, yeah, like, we're shutting the doors on SpecTech. I still want to stay in the training world. And I, like, heard about you guys. So he comes in and interviews, and I'm like, what's your boss doing? He's like, what's the guy that owns the gym? What is he doing?
So what is SpecTech?
SpecTech's a personal training gym. That was in Winooski. And he's like, I think he's going to say it. And I was like, can you give me his contact info? So I call Sam Orphanides, who's our head strength coach here. And I'm like, hey, this is Lucas from Concept. Like, I heard that you guys are going out of business, and I wanted to sit down with you to see, like, what your next steps were. And he interviewed great, and, like, it was fucking awesome. And, like, I knew that he was going to work hard because he's, like, coming from a business owner himself. And I don't know, I have a special spot in my heart for Sam because it's just, like, I know how hard it is. And, like, I can't imagine going out of business. You know what I mean? How hard that would be. So I'm really thankful that I was able to get to him, like, when I did. So he brought all of his clients. He brought all of his equipment, dude, which at the time was sick because it was a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. And we worked out, like, a super one-sided fucking, like, buyout thing. Like, he had to have paid so much more money for this stuff than I paid for it. So, like, kudos to Sam for just, like, being a good dude and, like, helping the cause. And so I've got those 3 guys, and then, like, Caitlin Roberts is here, who's our nutritionist, who works remotely. And, like, Meg Allen was doing stuff part-time. And we just had, like, a system where, like, Nate was like, you need to have a goal for how many consults you're going to get, and you got to hold these guys accountable. You need to be meeting with them weekly, all this stuff. So we're just moving along, and like I'm handing clients off and just like helping in sales and recruiting, and like we got all the new equipment in, and Dylan was like crushing photos, and we were just doing it. And it kind of got to the point where it was a little overwhelming for me to try to manage like 4 or 5 people and do all this other stuff, plus train like 30 to 35 hours a week. So I lightened my my training load and like handed off clients to those guys. And then I was talking to Nate, and he was like, all right, it's time to like promote. You need a manager. You need somebody that's going to like kind of cruise around with that stuff. So I'm like, okay. Oh, and Etta was here too. So I open up the job position for team leader, which here basically means like you have now the opportunity to kind of like run your own business like within a business. So you can go out and hire people and like run a team and then make commissions off like what they're training, and your job is to help them like get rolling. And I interviewed, so Fitz, Tate, and Sam all interviewed for this management position, and they all crushed it. Like they all did such a good job in their own way. Like they're all different, you know? But they all did such a good job. They just like said the right shit and like super loyal and real hungry like for success. And I remember reviewing all the stuff and talking to Nate about it, and I was like, Nate, they all did such a good job. And like the way that this position works, like doesn't really matter. Like we don't really have anybody underneath them, and they all did such a good job that I don't want like somebody to move up and then that person now becomes like in charge of them or whatever. And Nate was like, are you doing this because you feel bad that like you're going to disappoint somebody? And I was like, no, I really think that promoting all 3 of them is like the best option because there's no downside. I was like, they all did well. They all did what I asked. They all got their hours up to 25 hours a week, 25 to 30 hours a week. They all recruited. They all follow like the code of conduct. Like they're up to par with the standards, and they all interviewed really well. Like what? And then now I give them all the opportunity to go build a team and like hire people, and then like that'll just like triple our growth. No? And he couldn't really like give me a like reason why it was a bad idea. So then I talked to him. I talked to Joe, who was another person that was like helping me out from a mentorship standpoint at the time, and he was like, yeah, I think it's good. So I all day I'm like, I haven't announced like this stuff at the end of the day. I need to like see all 3 of you. And I remember Sam was like freaking the fuck out because he obviously wanted that position so bad, like getting into a management role and being in charge and stuff because of like where he was at before. So he was like super nervous. So I brought it all back, like brought them all back in the other room, like at the very end of the day. It was like 8:00 at night. And I'm like, there can only be one of you or whatever. I just dragged it out all day to be like such a dick. And like, just like feeling so happy inside because I know that they were all going to be. And I like announce it. I'm like, it's not going to be one of you. It's going to be all 3 of you. And I like said it like that. and like Fitz and Tate are like stoked. And they're like, yeah, dude. And I feel like Sam was just like so distraught from like the stress throughout the day that he didn't even like have a reaction. So I thought he was like upset, and he was just like, oh my God. Like I can't believe this is happening. So yeah, they all became team leads, and then we started having management meetings, and we were just like, we're just gonna fucking recruit people and like bring them in, like anybody that you can find that has the certifications and qualifications that we're looking for, like bachelor's degree, all this stuff. And we just started bringing in a bunch of people, and we were really gaining traction in like the community with like where we were going. And we started the remote training department, and nutrition started up, and we had like all the online stuff, and Dylan was just like crushing it with back end stuff. And like I was just dealing with people, like in sales and recruiting and holding people accountable, and then Nate was coaching me, and it was so crazy because it was just like if you just follow the game plan, it's just gonna happen. So, like, Nate has a lot of like quotes, but like one of the things was always like, there's either reasons or results. So there's either reasons why you can't do something, or there's results for doing the shit that you're supposed to do. And he just like paved this roadmap, and like I didn't always agree with it. I didn't always like. I think I had a lot of scarcity behind stuff. I was like, why would I recruit more people? Like, we don't even have these people full or whatever. And he was like, because you're gonna grow wide, and then you're gonna grow up. So like, that's what we're gonna do, and that's what we fucking did. And everybody's cruising now, you know. And last week, going into 2019, like big goals, like we've got 20 people on staff now, and corporate wellness and nutrition and remote training and 400 something clients, and like it's crazy. So now the next stage of everything is 2019 goals, and I like put together this like crazy master sheet of like what we're gonna be doing.
You're always good with the sheets.
Yeah, the sheets are like where it's at, dude.
Documenting.
The 135, it's like big time. So it's like what we're trying to do this year. And right now the big goal is going to be like 100 sessions a day plus online stuff. But go one, so number one main goal, 3 priorities. So what are the 3 major priorities that we have? And then what are the 5 strategies to achieve those priorities? And if we just focus on those 5 things, we'll hit our 3 priorities, which is going to allow us to hit our one big goal. So we set out what these are, who's in charge of them, when they're going to do it. Like everything goes into calendars. And I make goals every week, and then like over here we have the media schedule, which is why this podcast is starting, but it's literally a calendar schedule for every single day and what content is going to go out for the entire fucking year. Like, there's nothing that is going to be left to chance this year. Everything is going to be planned, and there's going to be real data about what's working and what's not, and who's working and who's not. And we're going to just hit our goals because we planned for it, we calendared it out, we did this, that, and the other thing. And I rebuilt the website and like all this stuff, and I'm showing Nate all this. He's like, how are you going to track it all? And then all the website stuff's like automated. So like I know exactly like how many applications we're getting and how many intakes form came through, and what our closing percentage is, and what our retention rate's going to be, and how many like touches that we're getting on people on a daily or monthly basis. And he kind of jokingly said, this was last Monday. It's like, okay, what do you need me for? And I was like, I kind of got hot. And I was like, I was kind of going to talk to you about that. Cause like, I don't know. Like, you've gotten me this far, and like now, other than you just like holding me accountable, which like, I don't necessarily need that level of accountability from him right now. So I've started working with Becky, who's his director of expansion. And I'm obviously going to still train Nate and whatever. But it was really sad because he has played such a monumental role in getting us to where we are now. From like the day he said, like, I'll pay you to come train me. To like now, like breaking up with him almost. Like that was training him, that was crazy for me. Get some info. Yeah, exactly. Like if I have questions or whatever. So now I'm working with Becky, who is gonna kick my fucking ass. Her stuff is a little crazy. If I don't get Kev, Sydney, and Hannah up to 25 hours, like billable hours a week by January 31st, I have to sing I've lost that loving feeling on Facebook Live if I don't get this shit done. And I got a lot of shit to get done. So that's what's going on. That's like extreme accountability, extreme ownership. And then the other thing that I didn't really like kind of touch on, because I'll probably get into that stuff in another episode, but like this whole year for like 18 months, I've been going to therapy every week to like deal with my own shit. Because like, and if I hadn't done that, if I hadn't had Nate and I didn't take care of my own shit and like work out and like do my meditation and all that stuff, which I learned from going to therapy, like we wouldn't be a successful business, because I would have like anytime I got stressed out, I would have projected that stress onto my staff and people would fucking leave. So like everyone's like, how are you so calm and like cool and collected and like all this shit? I'm like, dude, I am not, first of all. But I work on my stuff, and like it's not anybody else's fault. Like it's an opportunity for me to be in the position that I'm in, and like I'm just so thankful every day that I like have everybody here to like kind of help support me, and that's been probably the biggest thing. Like my leadership has gone, in my opinion, I always have stuff to work on, but compared to where I was like even just a year ago, is like through the roof. Like better than it was. And I attribute that primarily to our success. Like I have a coach who like tells me what to do. I'm self-motivated enough to just do it. Like there's never, I don't procrastinate. There's not like a time where I'm like, yeah, I don't think like that's a good plan or whatever. Just like drag my feet. And I worked on my own shit. And like concept, if I just keep doing the shit that I'm doing and like everybody here keeps being as good as they are, like we're gonna be untouchable. Like in Vermont, like I don't know anybody else that's doing what we're doing, because I don't know anybody else that's willing to like make the sacrifices that I make for them. You know what I mean? Like all the jobs I've ever had is like my boss is like pushing you into the fire. Mm-hmm. Like here, I'm gonna be like the first one running out. You know what I mean? I'm always going to, like, protect everybody else, and, like that's just the way my mind works. Yeah. So, like, the reason I'm creating the podcast is not because I want to be a fucking podcaster. It's because I want to help everybody else here get more clients and, like, be more successful. Like, the reason I do this stuff and, like, have the space and, like, everybody here's got their own goals that they want to accomplish, and, like, I'm just trying to, like, be the vessel to help them do that. Because if I can help everybody else hit their goals, like, inevitably I'll hit my own.
Yeah.
That's where we're at.
That's how we got here.
Yeah. That's like, yeah, in a nutshell, this hour of podcasting. But
and there's a whole lot of other things I'm sure like you can delve into